Nkem, the Director of Training and Human Capacity Building, AFLIA. We have Dr. Joel Sam, Director of Research, also a staff of AFLIA. We have Michael Thompson, our IT admin, and we have here with me Stanley Boachi Echampo, the research coordinator. You are all welcome once again. And I can see Samuel Chumesi appear from Ghana. I can see Idris Mohammed from Nigeria. We have Otama Jennifer from Kenya. And we have Happiness from Nigeria. We also have Bala Mohammed from Nigeria and Margaret from Uganda. The remaining ones, you are all welcome. We have Caroline, we have Chuku Emeka, Eunice, you are welcome to our webinar session. She is the membership officer of AFLIA. And we have Henry Mena Abara. We have Idris, I've already mentioned your name. We have Juma Bulus from Nigeria, I know. And we have with us Kennedy Michael. You are all welcome to today's webinar. The theme for our webinar today is climate crisis, disaster management, and African libraries. We all know that the climate has changed or is still changing, and this is affecting both humans, animals, and plants as well. And as such, as librarians, we cannot sit down without doing anything, especially as AFLIA. We, as the continental platform for libraries and information as workers, we cannot keep quiet without talking about this serious issue. We have seen the way seasons are changing, and it is hitting Africa harder than we envisage. Most of us in sub-Saharan Africa, we are experiencing serious, devastating floods, and as such, there are food insecurity, we have population displacement, and water resources are also being affected. I don't know how we can import water into Africa. And so if we don't talk about this climate change and how we can manage it and address this issue, it is going to affect all of us negatively. Why this topic? The purpose is for us to raise awareness and highlight the climate crisis among African knowledge and heritage institutions, to understand the prevailing agreements by governments and organizations on the climate crisis, and disseminate information on such. It is our duty as librarians. In fact, the onus lies on us to disseminate information about climate change. And it is our duty to also encourage and support innovative ideas targeted at finding solutions for issues as waste disposal, pollutions, and gas emission. We will not lose sight also of increasing the narratives and the voices for climate equity and sustainable lifestyle changes. Recently, we just held our African Librarians Week, and I am sure that this is also another topic that we can talk about in Wikipedia. We can write about, we can make other posts about, to change the narratives, to make it open, to have discussions for people to know what is going on. Once again, you are welcome. Our resource person for today's webinar is no other person than our own Dr. Nkem Osigwe, the Director of Training and Human Capacity Building. Before I hand over to Dr. Nkem, please, because it is a webinar, if you wish to ask any question, kindly click on the question and answer button below your screen and type your question there. All questions will be answered after the presentation. Again, presentations will be shared with participants via emails and also upload to our AFLIA YouTube channels. You are welcome once again. Dr. Nkem, please, you are welcome to take over.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Am I through now?
Yes, you are true, please. You can go ahead.
Hello. Hello,
right. Doc. Yes, you are true.
Yeah, I've started. Thank you. I've started screen sharing. I'm now trying to remember everything that Stanley told me about how to do the slide. Thank you very much. So, like Doreen has said, I welcome everybody to this session. You know, we are going to have it. We are going to run it for 2 days, so that we can do this theory, general background thing, and still do some practicals tomorrow. But the practicals won't be something tough, just things that will allow us to think and think through. So she has said who I am. I'm sure we know ourselves here. So welcome everyone. Now, this is the outline of what we are going to discuss today, and I'm going to be as sharp and as fast or as slow as I can, so that we are all on the same page. And the first thing we are going to ask ourselves is there really a climate crisis? Why I'm starting from here is that there are stories that there is just some people that want to create this hype, and some people are saying is real or not, and so on. But the important thing first is, let us ask ourselves, what is the climate? You know, can you hear me?
Yes, kindly check your screen share.
Hello, can you?
Yes, please check your screen sharing again. We do not see
sharing.
Yeah.
You do not see, not seen yet?
Your presentation screen is not showing. It's still there.
I can only see the title page, only the title screen. I can't see the others. The table of contents did not come.
Showing out from my end.
Yeah, if you can stop sharing and then redo the process.
Start again.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody said I can see all the slides.
Yes.
Are you sure it's not
not in presentation?
Not something.
Yeah, just redo and let's see.
All right. Okay. Can we see now?
Yes, it's better now. Please go.
Oh. All right, great. So I started by talking about the climate. What is it? You know, what does it mean? You know, we all have a general understanding, you know, that is the average weather in a given place over a period of time. Doreen had talked about climate change, you know, how we have flash floods now in sub-Saharan Africa, you know, so many different parts of the world. In Europe now, they're having a heat wave. So that is all, they are all consequences of climate change, because the way things were before, they are not the way they are now. When you look at this slide, it says that the climate of the earth has been changing. It has never been static. Over the past 4.5 billion years, it has been changing. And but the problem now is that what normally takes about hundreds of thousands of years to change are all happening within a short period of time. That the changes are coming faster, and faster in a way that is frightening, faster in a way that doesn't follow any particular pattern, except that the temperature of the earth keeps on rising. And we do not really, right now, we don't have any planet B. We don't have any other planet to go. Let's say if the earth closes down, in quotes, you know, we can go to another space. that has not been found yet. They say Mars, but nobody lives there yet. So we are all left to see, how do we manage it? How do we do it in a way that the temperature, it doesn't get too high, and that the earth will still be habitable to for all of us? They say, according to research, there are increasing levels of CO2, and it started since industrial revolution. But like I said before, it's moving at a pace faster than envisaged. We use coal to cook, oil and gas. We cut down trees to get firewood to cook. All these things are adding, to things, to gas emissions that make the climate, that is making the earth hotter. Beyond that too, manufacturing, especially in places like China, India and US, they are pumping in plenty of gases into the atmosphere, and that is affecting the whole world. Then also, when you put on what do I say now? Electric bulb, that burns energy. And that energy comes from oil and gas. When you enter your vehicle to drive, that burns fuel. And that again is not good for the atmosphere. People have been saying, should we start walking? Should we start, or we use bicycles or things like that? But it's beyond that. Not just that, it's beyond that. They are a part of, how do we put it now? Behavioral change that it is hoped that libraries in Africa can help drive, so that people will be aware of the fact that the world is changing, our climate is changing and is causing us problems, and nobody can really help us except ourselves. I'm trying to, all right. And I say it's getting really warm. Right now, we are at 100 degrees Celsius. It is estimated that at the next step, that's 2 degrees Celsius, the earth as we know it will be very hot and uninhabitable in some places. And it will cause the ecosystem to degrade and may be unable to support lives in those areas. How do we mean that? I'll still show us in some slides down, but already when you look at the problems we have in Africa about migration, for example, some people are moving from their places because there's desertification. Deserts are encroaching. There are plenty of droughts. Then in some places, floods and so on. This is just a preview. It's just a preview. And I asked a question here, how? If you've been watching the TV, CNN, and so on, you will see that in Europe, like I said, there's really a heat wave that is so much that is, they say is rare. It has not happened like that before. When you come down to Africa now, there are flash floods, there are cyclones, there are typhoons, there are droughts. All these things, if you do not read them within a particular pattern, you think that, oh, they just happen. Oh, that's okay, it's just happening, until it comes to your own area. I remember Doreen has showed me pictures of the flood in Accra, and I said drainage. But again, I mean, was it always this way? You know, there may be drainage problems, but sometimes it's as if the earth goes all crazy and does things that are not expected. Now, these are the pictures that I put here, and the title of this page is Everyone Everywhere. It's touching everyone everywhere. The first picture here is in Pakistan and India. The heat wave is so much that people, you need to pour water on yourself to cool down. The second picture is wildfires in Germany and Spain. These are the things that happened this year, 2022. Then this one, floods in Bangladesh. This is a residential area and is all flooded because of heavy rains. This one is, can you go down a little? Oh, where do I put this now? This one is a storm that happened in, I think, in Malawi, Mozambique, and I think Zimbabwe. So this is a picture of what happened there. The other one is in Australia. The other one is in Philippines. So you find out that it's not restricted to just one place in the world. It's happening all over the world. It's happening everywhere, so to speak. There are differences in Africa. We will get to that. All right, so I got this from a magazine. It says earlier this year, Southern Africa was hit by heavy rain from tropical cyclones and 2 tropical storms over 6 weeks. And this is a part of what happened there. So people, this is where they live. This is where the road that they walk on. But the climate change is causing all these things to happen more and more. And when it happens, if people are not prepared, or if people have not started changing the things they do, it will continue to happen until there won't be any earth anymore. From the aspect of religion, somebody will say, maybe it's the end of the world that is coming. We do not know that. But because we are information managers, this is the information that we wish to share. This is the information that we wish people around us to know. And that is one of the reasons why we are doing this today and tomorrow. People are still not aware that climate change is real. People are still thinking maybe, maybe not. But as people in charge of information, as professionals in this field, we need to know that these things are real and then design ways of telling our user communities, this is really happening. These are the things you can do to make it better. This is how you can get ready. It's not to sound as if we are alarmist. No, we just want African librarians to be in front. We want them to be proactive, to have the information that will enable them to be proactive, so that as these things happen, they can now point to people, or even before they get to your own community, to tell people that, hey, these are the things that may or may not happen. How do you get ready? How can you, what can you do to make it not happen as much as is expected? So that is what we are really on about today. And now we've come down to Africa because we looked down, we looked at the whole world, but now we want to zero in on Africa. Research has shown, and happenings have shown, that Africa is the most vulnerable and is going to bear the brunt of climate change impacts. That is, despite our contributions of less than 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, how many manufacturing teams, firms do we have here in Africa? And then it goes on to say that between 1991 to 2010, that the consequences of climate change has caused a decrease in rainfall. There have been increased heat waves and hot days, and all these are affecting our GDP, that's the gross domestic product. It is affecting how much we earn as a nation. It is affecting how much we have. It is affecting all of us. Why? Why, you may ask? Because Africa is more is based more on agriculture. Our economy grows or falls based on our agricultural products. Many Africans are really small-scale small-scale farmers. And when the climate does not allow them to farm, when it doesn't allow them to harvest, when the ground is so dry that you plant things, it doesn't grow. It's going to affect food security. It's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect the prices of things. It's going to affect the level of poverty. And already Africa, it is said that 1 out of every 4 persons in Africa is living below the poverty line. So this is making it even worse already. Then I talked here about countries in the Sahel region. You know, between 2011 and 2020 was the hottest decade ever. Desertification, deserts, you know, forests are going down, water sources are drying up, and then people are moving. When you think of the herdsmen conflicts in places like Nigeria, see, it's because it could be because those people that rear animals, that rear cows, that rear rams, sheep, and so on, in their own places, they do not have green grass again to feed their animals. So they have to keep on moving. And when they move, they want to come to a place, let's say, and find grass. And what if that grass is in somebody's farm and they go and eat it? That is conflict. So climate change is causing all this and more. And the countries in the Sahel region, like we wrote here, Senegal, Gambia, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. Just go read about all these countries. There's one type of conflict or not based on people moving from their homes, their homesteads, where, you know, where that land that has been their own to other places that they feel is more fertile, has more grass, has more water. Then all over Africa, these are the consequences of climate change, you know, region by region. When you look at it too, you see there are places that we wrote threats to human health. Oh, there's a spelling error here. There should be an here. Apologies for that. It will be corrected before the slides are sent to you, please. There's spread of malaria. There's erosions, rising sea levels. Then there's this one that I experienced in South Africa. I think it was in was it in Cape Town? No, Pretoria. We went there for a meeting on when IFLA was holding a meeting on SDGs. We went there, and one of the signs that I saw in the hotel room is that please don't waste water. We do not have water. If you're two in the room, please take your breath together to conserve water. Don't leave the taps on and stuff like that, because climate change is causing a decline, a reduction in water availability. Water stress is a reality. In many parts of the Niger Republic, you know, you have to dig and dig and dig and dig before you can find muddy water to drink, unclean water to drink. So all these are happening all over Africa. And don't think that because where you live now, it hasn't happened. It is coming. No, I'm not an alarmist, but just to give us the facts. Now, this is from Africa Center for Strategic Studies. It's not, hello, I hope you can still hear me. Hello,
Yes,
I hope,
yes,
yeah, all
yes,
right,
go
thank
ahead.
you, all right. So, like I said before, in the Sahel region, there's herder-farmer conflict. In the Sudan area, displacement, because people have to move to where they can feed, where they can live. And according to these people, traditional social structures are being disrupted. You know, many people, you know, this is your home, but you can't stay there anymore because there's nothing to sustain life there. There's no water. Vegetation is hard to come by. You know, the climate is unfavorable to your animals, to your children, to your health, everything. Then also in the Gulf of Guinea, this one, the coastal sides of Nigeria, Cameroon, and which other country again now? There's plenty of illegal fishing because people now leave their own part of the river to go to another country to fish because their own is going down, because climate change is also affecting even the fish in the water. Then around Mozambique side, cyclones like I had talked about, that's in southern Africa. Okay, I'm trying to move my slide, please. Right, and then what's the world doing all about this? Whether you want to believe it or not, there's really, again, global north and global south. Global north are the big nations. They are really the ones that are doing all the emissions, you know, the greenhouse gases and stuff like that. Africans are doing their own, but you can't compare it to what they are doing. And when you look at what the whole world is doing, I put up these things here now, so that you have an idea that the global north, yeah, see them with the black points, they are the ones with the emissions. While the south wants to clean up, they now carry the burden that they should bear and put on us. And then they tell you that, oh, you burn wood, you burn charcoal to cook. But actually, when people use firewood to cook, it can just be the only source of energy that they can get for cooking. But the people with vehicles, they have a choice. They have a choice. So while this one is survival, the other one is luxury. Then when it comes to negotiations, actually, you know, they are the people that are in charge, and we try to tag along. In all these things, why it is important is that, see, like I always say, if you don't say, here am I, nobody will say, there you are. The more Africans will realize that climate change is real, the more we can have more voices speaking up about these things that are happening in our countries, in our regions. The more we can now say, these are the things we do, these are the ones we don't do, but this is what is happening. The more we can have more grounds when it comes to negotiations. I hope I'm making sense. So I wrote us the international agreements that have been made already for climate change. The first one, this Montreal Protocol, was as far back as 1987. If you remember, there was a time that the talk was about the ozone layer. They said that that there are holes in it, and that it is caused by some gases. These gases are some of the ones that they used to produce before. They used to produce things like insecticides, deodorant and stuff like that, and then fertilizers and so on. But after this, 1987, the world reached an agreement. Can we stop this? Can we stop this? They had an addendum in an amendment in 2016 to stop all of that more. And that protocol was ratified by every nation of the world. Then after that, there was the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1992. It was this framework that now established, let us have a conference of the parties. That's what they call COP. You know, when you see COP, it just means that it was, groups established through this framework to talk specifically about climate change. Then it was ratified by 197 countries. Then this protocol, the one of 2005, Kyoto Protocol, it was adopted in 1997, but it didn't stick. It didn't stick because there were big countries that didn't sign. Then the agreement did not make it clear that countries like India and China should stop doing some things that they do when they manufacture things. You know, so that kind of made the protocol of no effect. As another one had to be done, and that is the one that is being used now by everyone, the one they call the Paris Agreement. Yeah, this one. So world leaders at the COP, the Conference of the Parties meeting in Paris in December 2015, reached an agreement about climate change. And this is different. This is more inclusive, because first of all, it says, let us limit how the temperature of the world is rising. You do this, you do that, everybody agreed to that, you know, and they all agreed. Then the second thing that they agreed to is that when we all agree to this, after 5 years, every country should come and we review what have we achieved so far. How is your country cutting down on emissions? Like we said before here, Africa is not really doing much. Africa is not really emitting gases so much. You can't compare us to the US, you can't compare us to India, you can't compare us to China. You know, but this agreement, it made it possible for all the countries, irrespective of the amount of greenhouse gases that you emit, to submit a report after 5 years to show how whether you're up there emitting gases or down there, you know, let us know how you are doing it. Then the important thing too in the third agreement, in the third key element, was that developing countries can now have access to finance that will help them fashion out ways, design innovative solutions that can help them with the consequences of climate change. Now, when this is said, of course, there are protocols to follow, there are processes to follow. But for us, I see libraries here helping people to first of all understand that there's this avenue that you can use to think up an innovative solution. And when you do, you can get finances for it. And at a library, that we can give you the knowledge, we can help you work on it as we give you access to information on what people have done, what people are doing, so that you can know what you can do to provide solutions to climate change, to the consequences, to the effects of climate change. So those are the 4 agreements. Remember, let me just go back one slide. We started from the Montreal Protocol, the UNFCCC, and the Kyoto Protocol, before we now got to the Paris Agreement. And this Paris Agreement is the one that is being used now by countries to ensure that emission of gases is kept low, and that the record how they are doing it, and also to help their people assess funds when you have innovative solutions to climate change consequences. Then Africa too, African Union also came up with the African Union Climate Change and Resilience Development Strategy and Action Plan from 2022, this year, to 2032. The main strategies are, first of all, to strengthen the abilities of African communities to adapt. And for you to adapt, and manage the risks related to climate change, you have to know that this is what is happening now. This may affect us this way or that way, but we can adapt through this other way. And in all this, AFIA sees libraries as being agencies, as institutions that can help their user communities understand what is climate change. How can we adapt? What do we do differently? How do we do it? Then another thing that they said is to design equitable and transformative low emission climate resilience development pathways, so that whatever area we want to drive development, let's always look at how does it affect the climate. Then it talks about to enhance the capacity of the continent to mobilize resources and improve access to and development of technology for ambitious climate action. Again, I see libraries here. If we remember that story of that boy in Malawi, the boy who harnessed the winds, I hope that we know the story. He said that it was through libraries that he got every information that he needed to create that wind turbines, those wind things that gave his village light. Those resources are within our libraries. Those ideas are within our libraries. That knowledge that can help people to innovate are there. What is important is really for librarians. It depends, it doesn't matter the library type that you work in, to know that this is the rage, that this is the thing of the moment, that this is the area that we need to move the attention of people to, or at least let people get interested in this area. And when they do that, we have resources that can help them develop things that can help the world, that can help our own community, that can help our state, our region, our continent, then the whole world. But I want to assure us that, you see, that knowledge that can drive innovations, that knowledge that can change things for Africa, it is all hidden inside our libraries. It is all in the information resources there. And it is really difficult for somebody sometimes, if they are not looking for it, to get access to that. As people with qualifications in this area, it is now our duty to search out those things and bring them to the attention of people. Let people begin to look towards this side, because really, if you don't say you are, like I said, nobody will say thou art. This is like a pathway for libraries to increase their visibility, relevance in Africa for this present period. And then those ones are the general things, you know, the background. What do we do? What can you do as a library worker, a librarian, archivist, whatever? What can you do? You know, why I put this slide intentionally is that a librarian, you can get used to unintentionally making your duties, your tasks to be all elitists. That's elitist, only just for enlightened, you know, oh, is there, you can get that information there. Oh, yes, yeah, it's there. Check that shelf and so on. Oh, all right, this is the link. And we stop there. But I believe that this is the time for us to push beyond what we've been doing, to go beyond and know, how do we make these things happen? How do we make ourselves more visible and relevant? The first one I said here is climate education. I'm looking at time. I'm sorry, I got carried. I forgot the time. Climate education. When you look at it, I think it's something that AFIA may have to get into. Draw up, you know, resources, draw up information that people can download and say, okay, this one is here, there, that other one is here. It's something that we are considering that we may get into. But these are the things you can do in your own library. Resources, services, discussions that reflect that reflect balanced information on why everyone needs to learn, what everyone needs to learn and what they need to do about the climate change. Provide content on the different concepts around climate change. Know the international agreements and how they affect us all. Then know, you know, what are the solutions that can be brought in? How do we do it? Who can help us? Who apologies for that. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Doc, we can hear you.
Oh, apologies for that. I didn't know that my internet, it went off. Sorry for that, please. It's like they said, is we are in Africa, and sometimes these things happen. So the first thing I say that libraries can do is offer climate education. That is all in this slide. Let me see if I can hurry up before my internet really goes. Then next one is providing information and, where possible, spearhead advocacy about alternative ways of doing things that can slow down the climate crisis. What do I mean? There's something they call clean energy. You know, instead of using fuel or gas, how do we use the sun? Imagine the sun in Africa. Imagine the bright, biting, hot sun in parts of Africa. That is natural energy that can be harnessed. Solar energy is, some people now do it, but how expensive is it? Is it affordable for everyone? Or do people even know that they can switch over to solar energy? Is there a way, is there information, is there knowledge on how there can be mass production of the components for solar energy? You know, then when you can now also think of plastic bags. When people use plastic polythene bags instead of paper bags, you know, that can also help us. Then, you know, there are sustainable agricultural practices in our indigenous knowledge that we have thrown away. Some we don't even have records. Some of those books are there, some are not. But this is the time for libraries to now look for those information to know whether there's a way that people can use them again for farming. Then I've talked about innovations and so on. Then I talked about again, you know, transportation is even better for our health, you know, walk some distance if possible. You know, everything is not all about entering a car or a motorcycle. We can also walk, you know. I'm not saying just us that are here in this Zoom room. These are the options we can give to our user community so that they know that you can do this or also do that. Then, you know, librarians, we are good at busting this misinformation and disinformation. So, and fake news. This is also important because some people are creating what they call eco anxiety. You know, they can so hype up what is happening in the world that you're just scared even of doing just anything. But when people get the right information, they will now know, oh, it is bad, but there's no, you know, it's not something you go and kill yourself for because there are alternatives. Then also think about it. How can we translate some of these resources? How can we translate some of our current awareness materials that we may create for climate crisis into our local African languages? Because whether we want to believe it or not, many Africans still converse in their local languages. And it will help libraries better if we also have this some of this information materials in our local languages. Can we do that? We can do that. I remember when AFLIA helped people to translate books on Storyweaver. One of the stories that we worked on was about climate change. And it was about small children understanding that the use of plastics is not good. The use of that there are good ways for waste disposal and so on. It was in a story, but we translated it into our different languages so that children will understand too. I'm sure that we can do that too for any information resource that is open and that we want to use for advocacy or awareness drive about community, about climate change in our user communities. Then this one, we will go into this more tomorrow. Disaster management, in fact, that is all we are going to do tomorrow, but it will be geared towards libraries, the one of tomorrow. That's a library, what do you do? How can you do it? But this one is a general one, that how do you help people manage disaster that comes out from climate change? You know, but the important thing is all of this is, you know, helping our user communities know that these things can possibly happen, and they may happen soon. So because they can happen soon, if you live in an area like this and the weather is this way or that way, please do this or do that in case something like this or like that happens. So that is what this is all about. Then I also wrote here for when you want to break it down now for the disaster management, there's need to let people as a kind of preventing or reducing the effects. You can let people be prepared by sharing information about weather. I remember that when we visited this library in Uganda, Nakaseke, one of the things that the library does is that they get weather information from the radio, different stations. And because then, and I think it's still there, UNICEF had built a radio station for the library because of the things that we are doing. They built a station for them, a radio station that transmits just within the community. So what this library does is that they get all this information about weather and they tell people it's going to rain today, it's likely to rain today, it's likely that the sun will be so high today. So if you're doing this and or that, please be aware of this and that. That helps them. And even if we do not have radio stations in our libraries, there are people that still come. You can find a way, a display board, to make sure that as much as you can share weather information. I don't know how many libraries that do it in Africa, but honestly, we have to start. Then also, you can lead the advocacy, or you can make noise about it the much that you can. Let us learn how to plant trees. You see, tree planting. I know that Kenya National Library Services, they've done that before. It's something that we can talk about. It's something that we can look for people to work with to do this. And also, I also learned that when you plant mangrove trees in coastal areas, that it helps to stop erosion. So these are the knowledge, the information that we should give out or let people access so that they can make choices of what to do and what not to do. Then I've talked about waste management, clean energy, the information about it, and advocacy. If through this webinar, just one person, just one librarian will write back and say, hey, I'm interested in this advocacy. How do we drive it? I can assure you that we can make changes. The social media is there for us. So many platforms that we can say, these are African librarians, we are worried about this. Put out information that people can see to create that awareness. Then also we can use the library space for discourses on climate crisis. If you have a library and there's space that can sit 10 people, 5 people, 15 people, 50 people, and you put up a notice that so days we want to talk about so thing about the climate. Even if it's you start it first, you can. The important thing is to build that awareness about it. Then the response and recovery most often is based on the plans of the government at different levels. Libraries do not really have much to do there, except when they can. But the important thing is getting people prepared for something like this, creating awareness. How can we reduce the impact of this so that it won't be that, oh, we didn't know it happened. That is why AFLIA is doing this now, to let you know so that we can really change what is happening, or at least the way we are people are reacting about this, the awareness, the advocacy, then information and so on about it, so that people will be aware that climate crisis is real. Somebody asked me, what do we have with all this? See, libraries are a part of the society. Libraries cannot exist outside of the people that they serve. When you see something that is happening in your society, as a library, you need to jump in to continue, to continue being relevant to that society at that particular time. We can't afford to stand by and say, oh, we don't know about climate, so we are not interested. No, we all have to be interested. So these are my references. And like I said, we'll send this to you. We'll send this to you. And when we send it to you, you can see all and read more and even understand more. And so this is the end for today. So now I'm ready for questions. Doreen, questions. I'm sorry I went on and on and on. Do we have any questions about this? Hello, Doreen? Hello?
Hello, Doc. Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, do we have any questions? Yes, I can hear you now. Do we have any questions?
There are no questions here yet. I don't know if participants would like to ask anything. I thank you so much for this informative webinar. We have learned a lot, quite educative, and I'm sure when the slides are shared, we will still go through it and take time to assimilate all the information you have given us. Thank you so much. Please, if you have any question, okay, there's one from Kennedy Michael, and he says, mine is just an insight on these, but you can share them into our emails. Oh, what, Michael, what exactly do you want to know? If you can give us the area, the topic, what you wanted to say, or where you want to throw more light on, then she can. Okay, so from Tewu Ajayi, she says, please, is AFLIA ready to take up this project? That's the question. She's asking if AFLIA is ready to take up the project. Doc, is this a project you want to take up?
Like I said, that's what I'm saying. I think even if it's just one person that can agree to stand with me as AFLIA staff and say, let's educate people about climate change in Africa. Yes, I'll be there for you. AFLIA will be there for you. Remember that I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, Doreen, that we held a competition, remember, about the best poster about climate change. Yeah. So AFLIA had always known about this, had always wanted to push this. But it's not something that an individual does. And that is why we are saying, let's open up the doors so that if there are people that want us to work with them, do you want to host a webinar in your office and you need us to speak with your office people or your user communicators or whatever? AFLIA is there for you. That is what AFLIA is all about, to ensure that African librarians are proactive more and more, building their capacities and shining wherever they are. So yes, we are ready to stand with you.
Okay, and again, like we said, as part of our aims or purpose for this webinar, we want to encourage and support innovations targeted at finding solutions for such issues. And then we also want to encourage participants or Africans to share their voices, tell more stories about climate change. And so I am sure this is in the right direction, and AFLIA is always ready as a platform on which you can always share ideas. And so we are ready. If you are ready, like Dr. Nkem said, it's something we've been doing already, and so we'll continue doing it. So Michael Kennedy says about the droughts in respective countries, and for the same, you can share the entire notes into our emails. Yes, the presentations will be shared, and we will also upload it onto our YouTube channel. And so if you want to have or listen to the recordings again, listen to more in-depth explanations from what Dr. Nkem has just shared, you can visit our AFLIA YouTube channel and listen to what she said. So Tayo Ajayi said she will get back, she or he will get back to us. You are welcome at any time.
All right.
All right. Any other question, any contribution?
So now, can I say this? Now,
Yes,
please,
please.
If you want to count yourself in, for the advocacy, because right now, we have lots and lots and lots and lots to do. I can see my sister Lynn. Yeah, Lynn. Yeah. If we are interested, the first thing that we may have to do is let us teach Africans how do they decrease their carbon footprints. I didn't go into all that, details, because this is something that when we now start working as advocates for this in Africa, then we can now break it down more and more and give people all those information. This session today is just for 1 hour, and we've gone past it, so we couldn't have said everything, but I can assure you that we have plenty of information to share. AFLIA has plenty of information to share about this that we want libraries to also carry, librarians to carry about climate change, especially when it comes to behavioral change, that will help our earth last better.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, and to add to what Dr. Nkem said, and from her presentation, I learned one thing. If I forget everything, I'll not forget about the Paris Agreement. And that is what is being used currently. And so let's all not forget about this. Let's share information. Let's keep on discussing amongst ourselves as librarians, and then let's disseminate more information on climate change. God willing, tomorrow we are going to have an open discussion, and you will be allowed to tell us what you think. You'll be allowed to answer questions. You'll be allowed to ask questions. It's going to be open. So get yourself ready and let's all move in one direction. Lynn, I saw your message. You said we should start alphabetically and then start with Botswana. Thank you very much. We will think about it. As usual, I like your strength and your vim for advocacy. I like that. Keep it up. There's another, okay. From Lynn again, she said, wonderful presentation. Many thanks to AFLIA. Kennedy, at the end of the session, are there certificates of some sort? Hey, Africans, we like certificates to shy. Happiness, this is another way of participating, or playing our part in the SDG goals. I am ready if I have a mentor. Don't worry, we are ready here for you. Dr. Nkem is there, the team is here, and we are also ready. We are always a trusted voice for libraries and information community in Africa. From Abubakar, this webinar is an eye-opener and as a graduate of library and information science to geography, I've learned more about climate change, and I will soon be working on a project about climate crisis events, though I've been an advocate for climate change. And so, Abubakar, you can still contact us and work together. We need librarians to be at the forefront. We are information custodians, and the onus lies on us to share information. We have moved, actually, like I always tell people, we have moved from just being information custodians to being information creators. We are so progressing, and so anything shareable is welcome. Caroline, thank you for the presentation, eye-opener. Kabanda Margaret, thank you for the presentation. I have learned a lot, and me getting ready, I think there will be a lot to share from Uganda. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. The certificates, you are not clear. Are we giving certificates? Yes.
Doreen, if someone attends today and tomorrow,
and
yes, stays at least, it's not somebody that just comes in and goes, because yes, we are good at that, you know. Yes. So today and tomorrow, yeah, we can do that, because this is a 2-day thing. And please, tomorrow when you're coming, just know that we are going to do lots of discussions, you know. We had wanted to split into groups, but it may be problematic a little bit. So we are going to have general discussions on how to create or plans, you know, in our libraries for managing disasters. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your support, and we thank you for your contributions. We will end here, and God willing, we'll meet same time tomorrow, 12 p.m. GMT Ghana time. Thank you. We'll end the meeting here. Have a blessed day. Oh, two more questions. Let's